Okay, so in this week, we have to be on our toes because the work is a bit huge and wide. Yeah, we are going to embark on strategy. I hope we are going to finish everything about strategy today before we go on to other areas. And I think strategy is the backbone of this module. When we talk of strategy, we're just talking of those processes and actions which are made by the top echelons of the company to ensure that it maneuvers the dynamic, gloomy, and always turbulent terrain of commerce. It's not very easy to maneuver that terrain. So I'm going to share with you the notes on the screen, but we're not going to touch on everything because you read them at your own time. We are only going to be interested in certain areas, but before I share the note, I think I also need to download something here called the Acca SBL syllabus. I know you have got one, but it's very important that we discuss along the syllabus, along those lines, because sometimes if we do not talk about what is in the syllabus, we might end up getting lost along the way. Is that clear, madam?
Yes.
That's great. I like your yes there. From that side, it sounds encouraging. Okay. So that's the syllabus for those who are writing in June. Unless you are writing in December, then that will be something else. But if you are writing in June, then this is the right syllabus for us. Let me just cross-check on the screen, just for the purpose of recording, because I don't want you to cry one day and say, oh, you're just referring to a syllabus that was outdated or something that was no longer in use. So you can see that this one is for this September 2025 to June 2026. And the syllabus itself is designed to help with planning, study, and to provide detailed information on what could be assessed in any examination session. So this is our blueprint. Is that clear, madam?
Yes.
All right. And you can as well appreciate that we have actually made significant steps towards completing this syllabus, because so far we have covered the two areas A, B. As you can see, leadership has been done, governance and sustainability has been done. So we are at strategy. So we are moving, isn't it? Great. Almost
yeah.
So you can see that if we finish today, then we are left with part D, E, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, only 6, okay, 7. So we left it only 7 areas, isn't it? And 7 areas, no. So we were actually right that by end of March, we should be done with the aspect of the syllabus, and we'll be tackling the rest of the issues through revision. All right, so let us go to the detailed part of the syllabus, the detailed portions of this syllabus. Great. So we are going to look at, first of all, the concept of strategy. What's happening with my, this pen of mine? Okay, the concept of strategy. All right. I want you to give me a definition, just a layman's definition or just a general definition of strategy. I've explained it, but you see, our objective there, you are required to explain the fundamental importance of strategy and strategic decisions within different organizational contexts. So you should be able to determine what could be said to be the importance of strategy. But for you to tell us the importance of strategy, obviously you need to define to us what strategy is. Otherwise, what you will tell us might be some hegemony, some daydreaming concepts. We want something that is informed by, reading. Okay, so tell us what you understand, just from the general understanding. What is strategy from your own understanding?
I think strategy, these what can I say, steps that can be implemented in order to achieve the organizational goal at the end of the day.
That's wonderful. Yes, although we'll be looking at the longer term. All right. If it is simply something that is we were in the shorter term, it's normally some objective you want to do, but when it comes to strategy, we are looking at something in the longer future. So we are also tasked to apply the Johnson Scholes Whitington model of strategic management. All right. That is strategic analysis, strategic choices, strategic implementation. These things always come. And you can't tell us that you have studied SBL without knowing these three things. Okay. Actually, this model, the Johnson Scholes and Whitington model, always also called the JSW model. You need to know this: the strategic analysis, strategic choice, and strategic implementation. We will talk about it. Then we'll look at the environmental issues. We'll look at the PESTEL framework. Also, other frameworks related to the environment. All right, because if the examiner says such is PESTEL, if the examiner says you need to look at macro, to be able to assess the macro environment of an organization using, look at my network now, using appropriate models such as PESTEL. So other models, do you know other models? You can give me an example of other similar models which can be used to assess the macro environment of an organization.
Maybe a SWOT analysis. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Yeah. The SWOT also looks at the only difference between the SWOT and PESTEL is that the SWOT is some form of a hybrid analysis. It looks at both the internal issues or internal factors as well as external factors, right? But it is also used to understand the macro environment. And what is the macro environment? When we're talking of the macro, we are looking at the countrywide perspective, the countrywide analysis. Okay. But when we are looking at the micro, now we are targeting a specific or the industry-wide analysis, isn't it? Industry-wide. So, we need to be able to assess the implications of strategic drift. This one we talked about it sometime last time, but we were just touching it and pass. We were not really dedicating our efforts toward it. So we also discuss about it. Then we should be able to evaluate the external key drivers of change likely to affect the structure of a sector or market. What are those key drivers? We would deliberate about them. Then we need to apply Porter's diamond to explore the influence of national competitiveness on the strategic position of an organization. So Porter's diamond again is a model we need to discuss about.
Okay.
Then assess assess scenarios reflecting different assumptions about the future environment of an organization. This one we'll touch on it as we proceed. Okay. Then competitive forces. The competitive forces need to be analyzed as well. So, in short, we'll look at what is called Porter's 5 forces. Okay.
Yes.
Also, important issues include market segmentation, then the Porter's value chain has to be also talked about. Value networks, the notes have been prepared perfectly for this. Then evaluate opportunities and threats posed by competitive environment of an organization. And this is where the SWOT also comes into play. All right. But it is not rigid. You see, these models are not rigid. Sometimes a model might be useful to analyze specifically the external environment, but it can also be used to analyze certain things which are linked to a particular organization. So don't tell me that if the examiner says, tell us about the environmental factors affecting carbon, using the SWOT wasn't necessary, but only the PESTEL. You just have to, um, juggle between what is necessary and what is not. All right. Do not be fixed. Do not have a fixed mentality that only the PESTEL applies. Sometimes you can borrow certain things or certain points from the use of SWOT analysis. Okay. Then the internal resources, capabilities, and competencies of an organization. You should be able to identify, evaluate an organization's strategic capability, its threshold resources, threshold competencies, unique resources, and core competencies. But you should then be able to tell yourself how can I do this? You can you can understand the organization's strengths, capabilities, actually using the SWOT again. There are saying
Yeah.
by using the SWOT, you'll be able to understand the organization's strength, all right, that is its capabilities, its resources, and so forth. There are also other models like the 6 M's. Have you heard of them?
No, I haven't.
Six M's, we'll talk about them. They will also assist you in coming up with what the organization has. Remember, all these are actually telling us of the strategic analysis part of the JSW, because there is strategic analysis, there is strategic choice, there is strategic implementation. We have talked about it here. So if you miss the first part, you won't be able to understand where we'll be going. All right. Discuss the contribution of organizational knowledge to the strategic capability of an organization. So organizational knowledge is just the repository of an organization's skill base, all right, or talent management, actually, all right. So what is the contribution of the organization's talent management system towards its success and so forth? That's what the examiner is trying to say here. You need to discuss the contribution of organizational knowledge to the strategic capability of that organization. All right. So here it's actually an aspect of HR or talent management, isn't it? Then identify and evaluate the strengths and weaknesses of an organization. Again, the SWOT comes. So it is actually an aspect of SWOT, PESTEL, SWOT, and other sub models like those 6 M's. All right. Then let's look at strategic choices. you should be able to assess and advise on the different strategic options available to an organization. And remember, there are theories or models that will assist you to pick the right option. You should be able to assess the opportunities and the potential problems of pursuing different strategies of product market diversification from a national, multinational, and global perspectives. You should also, this what is called the Ansoff Matrix. I'm sure you've heard of it. If not, don't worry, we'll talk about it. Assess the severity and probability of risk events. Isn't this one now something else? It's now, you can see it's now part of risk, isn't it? So that one is out. All right. We'll look at that one. All right. Let us concentrate on this part. So you should be able to advise on how the 7Ps, price-based strategies, differentiation, and lock-in can help an organization sustain its competitive advantage. And tomorrow, I want you tomorrow to send me a 5 minutes audio. Okay, not 5 minutes, 3 minutes audio about this part, because in my notes, not everything is included. I want you to touch especially on the aspect of lock-in. All right? In my notes, we did not touch that one. I want you to research and you send me the audio and the write-up. The audio and the write-up about that objective, that part C. All right? That part C about lock-in. All right? And that one is the assignment for tomorrow. Whether you ask ChatGPT, I don't know, but I want an audio in your own words. Okay. Part D, apply the Boston Consulting Group, BCG, and the public sector portfolio matrix models to assist organizations in managing their portfolios. Yes, this one we've got the BCG. We'll talk about the BCG, but the public sector portfolio matrix is not again covered. I also want a 3 minute audio on that. Okay. Then recommend generic development directions using the Ansoff growth vector matrix. This one again is a 3 minute audio. All right. Assess how internal development, business combinations, strategic alliances, and partnering can be used to achieve business growth. All right. So this one we'll discuss them today. So those are the 3 items I want you to put. The reason why I had to go through the syllabus last time, I discovered that yes, we did everything fine, but there were other issues which were, not covered, but there were few. And during the revision phase, we'll touch about them. For example, the aspect of the value for money. We did not talk much about value for money, even if we touched about it, but we didn't actually go deeper into the 3 E's, the value for money. But anyway, that one wasn't really an issue because every undergrad, degree program actually talks of the economy, the efficiency, the other E is what? If you have economy, effectiveness, isn't it?
Yes.
There is economy, efficiency, and effectiveness, right?
Effectiveness. Mm.
Yes, great. So this is why we say that it wasn't actually much, but from now on, we need to actually be led by the syllabus as it will actually help us to identify those items which we didn't come up in the preparation of write-ups. Anyway, here are the notes. Allow me to share the notes, please, for now. Where's the screen again? Are you still there?
Yes. You can't see me.
I can see you. I don't know what happened.
But my camera is saying it's on.
Maybe you have gone somewhere.
No.
There's a problem with now. The screen is just crowded. Anyway, let me just try to locate. Are you seeing anything about the notes?
No, we are still stuck on syllabus.
Even now?
Yes. Now I can see the notes.
All right, guy. That's good. So our notes are 21 pages, and we need to be on our toes, because if you are not serious, we won't finish discussing about every detail there. So we'll start with the concept of strategy. The nature and the importance of strategy. So strategy is not just a long-term plan. That's the fact, but it is a pattern of activities designed to achieve an organization's objectives by adapting its resources and operations to a changing environment over the long term, typically 5 years. So when we are talking of strategy, we are talking of not only having a long-term plan, but having a plan that actually put into effect the adaptability of the organization, or the capability of the organization in adapting to the changing environment it is operating in. All right. So by adapting, we are talking of by making sure that its resources are compatible with the requirements of the operating environment. Yes, they've done what they can do. Okay. Proceeding further. We can safely see that strategy is about, they're saying it's not just a longer term plan, but a pattern of activities that ensures the organization so objective is adapting its resources and operations to a changing environment over time. Now, we can also appreciate that the business environment is not static. It is always changing. Back then, back in 2023, the aspect of artificial intelligence was just like, some daydreaming assumption, isn't it? But
yes,
by 2025, it became a reality. And by today, we can, even in universities, are learning to accept the reality that AI is there. Yeah. So this is why, in terms of assessments, they now normally encourage that, the student should actually be active in the assessment, or in the way they are assessed. For example, instead of simply just writing us, a written project, we want you to create something, a physical project, which we can see. Or you are now required to actually, do a video of yourself presenting. Because when it comes to writing things, AI is now good at that. You guys can simply use an algorithm and then produce something and say, Mr. Lecturer, here is your work. But that won't be good. Okay. So let's talk of advanced definitions of strategy. We have got about 3 scholars. Let's start with Chandler. Chandler, 1962, said strategy is the determination of the basic long-term goals, that is basic long-term goals and the objectives of an enterprise, and the adoption of the courses of action and the allocation of resources necessary for carrying out these goals. So according to Chandler, these are, when we are talking of strategy, we are talking of the way or the means of determining the long-term goals and objectives of an enterprise, and the adoption of courses of action and the allocation of resources necessary for carrying out these goals. So you can appreciate that there is an aspect of longer term, there is an aspect of objectives being, directed towards a common goal. All right. Then, according to Drucker, a strategy is a pattern of activities. So this is now, in our introduction, we talked of the pattern of activities designed to achieve objectives while adapting to environmental changes. So you can actually see that Drucker was instrumental, or is actually instrumental in the definition of strategy. So the key elements include organized activities, long-term focus, that is 5 to 10 years, and the necessity for strategies to be flexible rather than rigid. Why do we need flexibility in a strategy? This is because what we think is the best strategy in 2026 might not be the best one in 2028. So we need to have some flexibility. This point is very essential when you are analyzing your case study, because you hear of certain CEO having cast his strategy on stone that this strategy shouldn't be changed. But according to Drucker, there should be some flexibility because things change and you discover that your strategy no longer holds any water. Is that clear?
Yes.
Good. Let's move on to Johnson, Scholes, and Whitington. Now, these guys, this trio is very, very instrumental, because much of the work we are going to discuss about in this week is centered on JSW. So they define the strategy as the direction and scope of an organization over the longer term, which achieves advantage. So they are the guys who also taught us idea of competitive advantage in a strategy. All right. So which achieves advantage in a changing environment through its configuration of resources and competencies with the aim of fulfilling stakeholder expectations. So the aspect of stakeholder management has also been brought into strategy. So what we covered last week is also useful in this week. Aspect of stakeholder management. Thus, this definition adds 2 critical dimensions: achieving competitive advantage and fulfilling stakeholder expectation, rather than just shareholder wealth. So according to JSW, the stakeholder management theory is advocated for rather than stockholder theory.
Okay.
All right, let's move on. Why strategic planning matters? This is now to answer the aspect of the importance of strategy. While it can be time-consuming and bureaucratic, formal strategy provides direction and vision. It ensures everyone is rowing in the same direction. We don't want a situation where if we are in a dam, other people are rowing their boat this way, others that way, others this way. we don't want such a system. Why? Because in case of a catastrophe or some accident, it is difficult to attend to, to people who are so distressed. But if we are all going the same direction, even the response team can actually manage to save us in the quickest possible time. So we need to move in the same direction. That's go congruence. In the previous week, we talked of
go in congruence.
You understand now?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. So when we were looking at the agent's problem, there was an aspect of go in congruence. But now we are looking at strategy. There should be go congruency.
Okay.
Now, resource optimization is also another point why strategy is so important. We need to ensure assets are deployed where they create the most value. That's resource optimization, not mobilization, but optimization. Okay. Then the aspect of environmental fit. This helps the organization anticipate threats and seize opportunities. So if we have got a formal strategy, it means that whatever we are going to do would be, compatible with the environment. All right. So there is going to be an achievement of an environmental fit. Lastly, sustainable competitive advantage. Remember, we are talking of the longer term benefit. So we are looking at the sustainability of the party, the sustainability of the ideas. So there is going to be some sustainable competitive advantage, finding a way to win that rival cannot easily copy. So if we are giving ourselves the time and task to think about what course of action we should take, we are actually giving ourselves some sustainable competitive advantage, because by the end of the day, we'll come up with a plan which rivals cannot easily imitate. Any questions with that?
No, not.
Okay, strategy in different contexts. The importance and the type of strategy change depending on the organization. So here we are going to look at the business context. Let's start with the small business. The characteristics which are common to small businesses are they usually operate in a single market. Normally, if it is a flea market, they would be mainly dealing with kids' clothing or ladies wear. But on ladies wear, they normally choose certain types of ladies wear. All right, maybe blouses, maybe something else that is linked to that particular market. That's a small business, isn't it? It is normally led by the founders. So we normally see the hoteliers there, hotelier, they say a grocery shop. All right, so it will be run by hotelier herself, and maybe her kids would be giving her some assistance in terms of recording the transactions, but it will be actually led by hotelier herself. All right, who is the founder. Then the strategic focus for that business would be to find a niche. You need to establish where you are good at. Because you're a small business, so normally you discover after venturing into flea marketing that, okay, fine, I think kids' shoes are the best. So you concentrate on that small niche. This gives you some advantage in that you sharpen your skill to ensure that you supply the best kids' shoes ever. So you also concentrate on managing cash flow or bank relationships. That's the main focus for the small business. That's the main strategy, actually, the main strategic focus. Then, when it comes to multinational firms, these ones, they offer diverse products in the markets. They normally operate in different markets. For example, if you are looking at Delta Corporation, they, they have got products linked to liquor. They have got products linked to soft drinks. They can do other things which we can't name. For example, mining. They can be into mining as well. So they have got a variety of business products at the markets. So what is their strategy? They have got what is called parenting strategy. All right? Parenting, which means there is the main head office somewhere. We don't know, maybe it is in Switzerland or the United States, okay? But it has got a lot of companies. So this one, the head office or the HQ is actually the parent. Okay? The HQ is the parent, and these are the subsidiaries and so forth. So that's the type of strategy which they adopt. This ensures that they coordinate different global divisions, because there should be some central point, isn't it? Some parent somewhere that would be there to coordinate what these other subsidiaries are doing. All right, then there is the public sector context. This one is government influenced. Okay, they offer universal service. Universal service simply means that we are not really offering a service directed to a particular person, but we offer everyone that comes for that. Are we together? Everyone.
Yes.
It's not really targeted to a specific person. For example, the police force, they are not targeting one person. Even if you're in Malawi, when you report, we're going to offer you the service, isn't it?
Yes.
If you're a Zimbabwean, if you go to the police station, they're also going to offer you the same service and so forth. So it is normally government influence, and the services that are given cannot be demarcated. They offer the service to almost everyone, almost on anything they can offer that. So the strategy there in those organizations is to adopt what is called the value for money principle. All right, here we'll look at the economy, the effectiveness, and the efficiency of that service. The idea of adopting the value for money is that resources are so limited. So what we need to do is to reduce the tax burden on taxpayers by actually adopting those means which are economic, efficient, and effective. So that's value for money, isn't it? The 3 E's.
Yes.
Okay, what about an NGO? What is its strategy? This organization operates.
An NGO.
Yeah. What could be the strategy for the NGO? Just reading from the
Are you
screen.
asking me a question?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want you to be engaged, because if I simply just go through, you guys will be asleep on that end.
Yeah.
Okay, so the key characteristics for an NGO are that the goals are ideological. Ideological in the sense that okay, for example, let us look at an NGO like, for example, those charities for, for the girl child, for example, all right? It doesn't necessarily mean that there is a problem on certain girls in a particular community, but it is just somebody who come up with the idea, maybe through reading some article that girls in rural Zimbabwe are lacking A, B, C, D, or are lacking support in this particular area. Okay? So they come up with the idea that they need to establish a charity in rural areas of Zimbabwe. Right? They are not targeting specific girls in that particular or in the rural areas, but they are simply saying in general there could be some problem which needs to be alleviated. So it's ideological. It's an ideological goal, not really a specific, target, but it's just an idea. It's a result of ideation. Somebody just thinks that, I think the elderly need some support. How can we do that? Let us establish a fund that will assist the elderly. All right? So it's an ideological goal. All right? So
but isn't it targeted to a specific group of people? I see NGOs, they are not necessarily serving each and everyone, like what you explained in public sector, but they just enter, let's say, a country to focus on a specific group of people.
Yeah, they can do that, all right? But it is not really to, yeah, okay. The idea, of course, should be substantiated with facts. For example, funders for these NGOs would want to know if there is really a problem. For example, you establish an NGO to eradicate cholera, all right? Obviously, there is the problem of cholera, but the way you're approaching it is from an ideological idea, but not necessarily with specific targets that we want to go to Mr. Mtimkulu's house just because there is cholera. All right, you go there with the idea that if we do this, probably cholera might be reduced. So it's like an idea. All right, you come up with an idea that I want you to go there. Nobody has actually forced you to come there, but it is only out of your ideas that the society might be in need of this thing. Why can't I just go there and assist? It's different from the government perspective. The government is actually mandated to protect its people. It is actually forced to do that. But an NGO is actually a result of somebody's idea to act. Do you get the idea?
Okay. Voluntarily.
Some voluntary action. You understand? So this is why I'm saying it is something ideological. It's an ideological goal. It's something that has been, brought up from somebody's conscience that I need to do something to the society. So let me just go and help. Then, when it comes to strategic focus, the focuses for these NGOs are mainly to meet donor expectations of funding bodies. So this is why even in their job adverts, they normally want somebody who has had some hands-on experience in managing donor funds, isn't it?
Yes.
The idea is actually to meet the needs of the funders. All right?
Okay.
Good. let's move on to the levels of strategic planning. There is what is called corporate strategy. We talked about this when we were talking of some business configurations. If you still remember, where we say we have the strategic apex, the what, all those things.
Yes.
Yeah, but at strategy, we also have got that thing. That is what is called corporate strategy. This is the big picture. Which businesses should we be in? So you can see that corporate strategy is not for everyone, but for a few at the top. These are the guys who decide which businesses we should venture in. For example, should Gap Incorporation on an upmarket brand like Banana Republic, this is just an example, should our company own a certain brand in a certain market? All right? That decision can be made by the directors, isn't it? Not everyone.
Yes.
Then business strategy now, this is now mid to line. How do we compete in specific market? You can see that this specific market would have been established by these guys, the corporate strategy. So if you are told by the directors that we need to establish or to open a shop in Gwanda, okay, you as a middle line manager, as a middle manager, your objective is to say, or your worry is actually to say, how should I compete in Gwanda?
Okay.
All right, that's your worry. Not to ask yourself whether we should open a shop in Gwanda. Well, that decision is made by the guys at the top. So your worry now should actually be to say, how then are we going to compete? All right.
Okay.
Then, what about functional or operational strategy? This is the engine room. How do our processes support the higher levels? How does the HR department recruit the right staff for new stores? All right. But I want to put this straight. It doesn't mean that the board or the directors do not have the power to sanction an operational strategy. These strategies, all of them, could be made by the guys at the top. But your duty, because if we talk of policies, company policies, which are operational at the ground, they are not actually made by operational staff. They are made by guys at the top, but they are operational policies. Do you understand?
Yes.
So even a business strategy, how certain branches have to compete, that type of strategy is actually made at the top. But in the type of that strategy is business strategy, not really corporate strategy. When it comes to how employees should report at work and so forth, that decision can be made by the director, but it is operational strategy. It's not corporate strategy. Do you get it?
Sorry, your network went quiet. Maybe you can repeat it again.
Okay, all right. I'm saying the decision on operating hours for a particular shop, all right? Or for example, how TM Lobengula, for example, how TM Lobengula has to operate on weekends, whether it is to open shop on both Sunday and Saturday. That decision is actually made by the directors there. But we cannot say it is a corporate strategy, but it is a functional or operational strategy. Do you get it? So don't be confused to say, these guys made this decision, but it was out of their jurisdiction. No, the board of directors have got jurisdiction for everything there.
Okay.
But your duty now is to understand whether the strategy in question is a corporate strategy, business strategy, or functional strategy.
Okay.
Great. Now I can see that you're already tired. Okay, now strategy development processes. Strategies do not always come from a formal plan. They can develop in three primary ways. Number one, deliberate or prescriptive strategy. This is a formal rational process involving strategic position analysis, evaluation of alternatives, and formal implementation. All right. This is normally followed by established organizations and even the public sector. All right. There are certain periods where they say it is now a period for strategic plan, where they go to hotels there and spend almost a week, discussing strategy. They will be deliberating. They will be analyzing from strategic analysis, where we establish those PESTEL, those SWOT analyses, and then come up with alternative plans, and then the formal implementation. So that's the deliberate or prescriptive strategy. Then we have got what are called emergent strategies or emergent strategy. This is unplanned responses to unforeseen opportunities. These often bubble up from junior managers or employees and are later formalized into deliberate plans. Sometimes employees might simply knock at our doors and say, Mr. Director, there's a problem. Customers are no longer coming. This particular product you have recommended is not working at all. So there is a crisis. And you can tell me from the studies we did about leadership that there is sometimes need to have what is called directive leadership, where in this particular situation, the CEO has to jump up and give some orders to say, guys, today I'm autocratic. Let us take this path. Because if we want to wait for participation, for consultation, for negotiation, it won't happen. It won't help us. Why? Because by the time we finish this negotiation, the market would have been taken away. Is that clear?
Yes.
That is what is called incremental strategy, where we move gradually, step by step, until the full change is achieved. This normally happens if we are operating in a safe environment, right? Obviously not in a technological industry, but in other industries, for example, building, the construction industry. Even if there are certain changes in the economy, the construction industry normally takes time, all right? They don't change the way they construct buildings overnight. You understand? So,
yes.
So, even if new building styles come up, they are taken with caution, all right? They, changes are done gradually. The industry itself, or by design, is stable. Even in the retail market normally, it used to be stable. I do not know these days, okay? But normally, that industry is a bit stable in the grocery retail. It's more of a stable industry, stable economy. The changes, they are not normally radical. But when we go to the technological market, oh my God, you just have to be prepared. Any day, things can happen the other way around. All right, let's talk of the strategic drift animal. A major risk strategic drift, this is a major risk where an organization makes only incremental changes while the environment changes rapidly. So we are having a situation where we are operating, these are the changes we are making, all right? But then the environment, this is our business, okay? Our business. But then we are having somebody called environment. The environment used to operate, maybe following what we're doing, but the environment suddenly shifted up there. and we are still operating this way. So
Okay.
this is what is called the strategic drift. Okay, the gap between our processes and the demands of the market.
Okay.
All right. So normally this is why you see certain companies by default they tend to be out of business before customers are considered, but simply because of the way they do their things. Okay, we used to have the Waverly company for Etkadoma then. They were good manufacturers of blankets and so forth. But when the aspect of crossing borders or what do they call them? These guys who cross borders, or the flea market guys, when they start to know about going to South Africa and bringing blankets, there was mayhem from the company, the runners, all these things. You see, or the cross-border traders, actually. You see, they actually forced Waverly Blankets to close shop. Why? Because Waverly was operating with old, outdated equipment and machinery, and its overheads were so large that it could not compete with the Shika guys. The cross-border traders are so severe when it comes to the supply of blankets. So there was what we call a strategic drift. What the economy was, or the market was demanding, was no longer going to be met by the company. All right. So the drift was actually that gap which was created. So you need to ensure that your strategy is adaptable to the dictates of the economy or the market. Now, strategic planning frameworks. There's what is called the rational model and the JWS model, the JSW actually. So in the rational model, strategy is treated as a formal periodic process similar to budgeting. It involves three main stages. So when you are talking of strategy in the rational planning model, we are seeing strategy as a budget, the way we create a budget. If we have worked in city councils, you know that budget starts with some appraisal. Okay, we need to appraise what is the current position, right? The strengths and weaknesses, the environment, opportunities and threats. All this you will be using the SWOT. All right, and then strategic choice. We then have to select possible alternative path to take. All right, how shall we proceed from our current position going forward? Which options shall we take? Shall we adopt cost leadership versus differentiation? What is cost leadership? Cost leadership is that we need to minimize costs as much as possible so that we can compete. Remember the aspects of target costing, all those things, right? So we need to reduce our costs to ensure that we meet what the market price is. So we cannot control the market price, but we can control the cost of production. So if we reduce the cost of our production, we are going to be a cost leader because we'll be producing cheaper things. So if we produce cheaper things, we will be able to sell them at a competitive price. Is that clear? But when we adopt a differentiation strategy, we are simply saying we are not worried about the costs because our customers will always come to buy because we are going to produce top-notch, high-quality things. All right?
Okay.
That's differentiation. Those products by themselves, even if you don't want, for example, the Gucci's, the Adidas, the Nikes, those things, right? They are differentiated. So people are prepared to buy a t-shirt for $200. Okay, so that's product differentiation. So those decisions are made under what we call strategic choice. All right.
Okay.
So which direction of growth shall we take? Shall we take internal growth versus acquisition? When you're talking of internal growth, we are simply saying, shall we use internally generated funds, for example, retained earnings, or we need to go for acquisition and mergers? Shall we acquire a certain company which is already established, which has got its own market, so that we can simply buy the company and enter into the market straight away? What shall we do? So that's strategic choice. What about implementation? Implementation is just putting the chosen strategies into action. We are now starting to do the thing. However, there are certain models we need to use, as we shall discuss, right? And if we do not finish the discussion, obviously you will read on your own. All right.
Are there any explanatory notes in terms of
All right, some video.
Yes.
Hello? Yes, I'm going to
Yes,
send
some
you the
videos. Okay.
it's fine. It's fine. I'm going to send you actually two videos. The one from me and the other, which I'll use using my AI, of course, isn't it?
Okay. All right.
All right. So all right. So that will be actually fast, because if I explain on the video, all right, it won't be having these background noises, and it won't be having this internet drama, or this Zesa drama thing. It will be actually very, very smooth. Anyway, let us talk about this Johnson Scholes and Whitington model, and then we call it a day, and I'll send you the videos.
Okay.
Okay, now, Johnson Scholes and Whitington model. This one views strategic management as three interlinked elements. It is non-linear. You can start at any point, and each element informs the others. So unlike the rational model assumes that when we talk of strategy, we are starting from one, then going to two, then to three, and then start off again. But when you're talking of the JSW model, you can start from the middle, going forward, or going backwards to the start. Is that clear? Right.
Yes.
So there is what is called the strategic position analysis, or strategic analysis. The strategic position. This one says that before acting, you must understand where you stand. This involves analyzing the environment using tools like PESTEL to find opportunities and threats. So, the PESTEL framework helps you to analyze the external environment. All right. But when you are doing the analysis, make sure you determine opportunities for the company and threats for that company. But unlike the SWOT, the PESTEL gives you much overview. It gives you more, much of a view, rather. You get a wider perspective. You'll be looking at the political, all right, the economy, the social, technological, ecological, and legal factors, all in one place. But like I said, when you are analyzing these factors, have an eye for opportunities which are created by the political factors. What are the opportunities associated with the political factor? What are the threats affected with the political issues? But they are analyzing the economy. What are the opportunities which are being brought about by the economy? What are the threats to the company which are brought about by the economic factors? Come to social. What are the opportunities which are open to the company from the social factors? What are the threats to the company linked to social sector? And so on and so on. That's how you will be able to ask a question on this. So you need to mention favorable or unfavorable issues or factors, their impact, and any overlapping points. Sometimes an issue might be social with some legal implications and also some economic implications. So you need to pinpoint where a certain factor is affecting a lot of variables there. Is that clear?
Yes.
Good. Still on strategic analysis. Remember, we are still on strategic analysis. There is also a model you need to know about, Porter's diamond. This is a model used to analyze reasons why entities in particular countries or regions within a country appear to have a significant competitive advantage over similar entities in the same industry, but operating in other countries or other regions. So you can see that there is a particular company which does very well, say in Bindura, but when it comes to Bulawayo, it is not performing well. That's Porter's diamond is there to help explain that. You can as well think of certain motor vehicles in certain regions, they are excelling, but when it comes to other regions, they are not. For example, the Tesla model. The Tesla model is doing well. Actually, it was doing well. I didn't know these days because of the political issues, but used to be doing well in the Americas, but not in certain regions, like, for example, China. I don't know. It's just an example. Okay. Now, Porter used the diamond shape to present the factors that create competitive advantage for a country over other countries. Therefore, interrelated elements. All right, so that's the diamond we are talking about on the screen. There is what is called the firm strategy, structure, and rivalry. So when it comes to firm strategy, this is the strategy we have been talking about. What strategy is being implemented by the firm? Are they using cost leadership strategy? Are they using differentiation? Okay, those are the strategies, isn't it? I'm sorry, my mic is falling. All right. What is the strategy that has been adopted by the company in question? Then when it comes to so hello?
Yes.
Okay. When I say cost leadership as a strategy, cost leadership or differentiation. Spelling of differentiation, I think there's an idea. Yeah. Differentiation. These are just examples of the firm's strategy. Some might be linked to market segmentation or the market penetration. There are a variety of strategies a firm might adopt. You understand? So you will be led. What we call strategy. You see, the definition has been there are so many definitions. All right. So, but what is very important to understand on this model is that it is that thing that sets them apart on the longer term. So, what is their strategy? What is the structure? When you're talking of the structure, corporate structure, remember the configurations, all those things. Is it a centralized? Is it centralized structure or decentralized? You see the corporate structure. Is it a tall or flat? That's what we are talking about. Structure, isn't it? Hello?
Yes.
Great. Then when it comes to the rivalry or the competition, okay, you can use Porter's five forces, isn't it? Porter's five forces to understand the competitive rivalry, because in the Porter's five forces model, there is what is called competitive rivalry. What is the extent of competition? What is the extent of competition in this particular market, in this particular region, in this particular country? How many companies are in the same market? How powerful are their brands? Can I enter? You ask yourself, can we enter? Okay. Yes. So that's the one of the elements to the diamond, the firm strategy, structure, and rivalry. Okay. So aumbozopererwi nezvekunyora shamwari ungashayiwa here zvekunyora na iwe
haupererwi
ndowandodzazi wafoira ndingachema
tese totochema tese
atikuona message
totochema tese
ega because apa pakadai apa aiwa haufanirwi kushayiwa saka ndiri kutaura kuti mamodels aya anofanirwa kubatsira kuti discussion yako so ive mature, but do not just bring it into to the examiner and say according to Porter's diamond. No, simply pick the terminologies. Just put a heading: firm strategy, structure, and rival. You understand? Then you write a paragraph on that, because the examiners know where you have taken that term, unlike just writing an essay without certain technical terms. These are now technical terms you need to use. You understand? Then
Yes.
demand conditions. What is the market like? Do we have people who can buy these items which we want to sell? Are they likely to be bought? What are the results of the market analysis? You understand? Second, in certain jurisdictions, the demand for cars is always high. For example, in the United States, the demand for cars is always high. There, people love to travel. They love to drive, all those things. So the demand conditions, they are always favorable. So when you be reading the scenario and they talk of a certain region, they took out of the demand condition in an indirect way. You just have to come up with a paragraph on demand conditions and say something about that.
Okay.
Related industries, related and support industries. Are they suppliers for the things you want to do? All right? Because related industries, suppose we are going to manufacture so forth. But do we have rubber producers? Do we have miners for certain minerals or for certain metals, the tantalite, etc.? Do we have them? Support industries. Do we have good universities for graduates with specialist ICT skills? Because what we want to venture in needs some support. Do you get it? So if we look at car manufacturing countries, like for example, Germany, they have got good universities, top-notch universities. So this is why brands like Volkswagen, the VW, they are always all-time winners. You understand? Because the support industries or related industries, they complement each other. Do you get it?
Yes.
Good. Then favorable sector conditions. Here now we are looking at those conditions which will always make your business prosper. They are always there. For example, it's a young population. That country is a new country. All right. It's actually a Gen Z country. So if you sell things like, high-end stuff, fashionable stuff, they're always going to buy. For example, in Blawayo, if you sell things which are related to fashion, you are not going to be in a problem because the population that side, they love to bling. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the idea. Favorable factor condition. They are just factors which are unique to that particular location. So do not ignore Porter's diamond in answering these questions.
Okay.
Okay, now let's talk
Okay.
of Porter's 5 forces model. This one is essential in understanding the competitive environment of our industry. We want to understand how we or how the industry itself can be attractive for our entry. Shall we enter into that? So we need to have an analysis on certain things, on certain factors. They are 5 factors. The first one, we will look at the bargaining power of customers. Bargaining power of customers, we are simply saying, in this particular industry, how powerful are the customers? For example, we want to supply electricity. All right. How can we say the customers are powerful? What indicators can tell us that the customers are powerful? This is a question to you. How can we arrive at that conclusion?
Well, if there are alternative sources of power available.
Yes. If there are alternative sources of power, then we can actually say, oh, the customers in this case are so powerful, isn't it? So
Yes.
they can put pressure on us to reduce the kilowatt, the charges per, per dollar, something like that. You understand? They can
Yes.
force us to reduce, our tariff. Then, so substitutes is another factor there. What is the other factor? So when you're analyzing this, because the other factor is actually threats of substitutes. So threats of substitutes. If the threat of substitute is high, obviously the bargaining power of customers is also what? Is also high. You understand? You must not confuse this because sometimes you say there's high bargaining power of customers, but the threat of substitute sometimes might be low. The issue is if the threat of substitute is high, obviously we are likely to see the bargaining power of customers being high as well. You understand? Good. But the customers might also be having more power if sometimes they can do away with the thing. They can survive. If there is what is called inferior goods. If you are supplying what are called inferior goods.
Okay.
Inferior goods are goods which can be done away without any impact. Can I say?
Yes.
We can simply just ignore them. The customers, they can simply just say, okay, fine, we can survive. We don't need that. Okay, great.
Yes.
Now, threats of substitutes. What about threats of new entrants? This is also another variable. Variable number 3. Threats of new entrants. Here we are simply saying that if the threat of new entrants, or sometimes called the barriers to entry, if the barrier to entry is high, then it is likely to be a profitable business, isn't it? Because not
Yes.
very few, very few players are in the industry. So we have got the potential of making something, of creating our own market. Why? Because there are very few players in that particular industry. Why? Because the threats, or let me just say, the barriers to entry are high. Maybe because there is a rigorous process to get a license. There is a rigorous process to get certified to supply, for example, to open an audit firm. You need to have a lot of, to satisfy a lot of things before you open it. So this is why there are few, even if they are said to be very many, but there are still few. Why? Because it's a laborious process to become an auditor.
Okay.
You understand? Do you get it?
Yes,
Hello?
I do.
Okay, now, so give me the last
Yes,
two.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm saying, can you give me the last
Okay.
two? The last 2 points there. There
I
is
can't
also
see on the screen.
okay. You can't see anything. All right. I'm saying, all right. Let me give you the other one. I've remembered the other one. There is a bargaining power of suppliers or power of
Okay.
suppliers. We talked of the customer, but now the power of the supplier. If the suppliers are so powerful, then it means that the industry is less profitable.
Yes.
Okay? It will be less profitable. Why? Because the suppliers already charge high costs on our purchases. So the chances of us making a profit are reduced. You understand?
Yes.
Good. What about the other one? The other one is what? Competitive rivalry, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah, we talked about competitive rival. Competitive rival, it tells that if there are many companies competing for the same market, then it simply means that, oh my God, the industry is not attractive. We must not enter into that. So it's very important when you are required to analyze a certain decision where they want to open a new branch or to enter into a new industry. Please use Porter's 5 forces because it tells you how attractive is that industry. So, for example, if the competitive rival is so high and the barriers to entry is again still so high, I mean, the barriers to entry is very low, then it means that every day we are likely to have new suppliers or new players into the industry, and by the time we also enter, the industry will become very, very concentrated, very, uh, crowded. So it simply means that our margins, the profit margins, will always be shrinking by the day.
Yes.
Is that clear? Great.
Yes.
So a lot of things there is going to be discussed, but let's talk of the 6 M's. The 6 M's, like I said, are also part of the strategic analysis. 6 M's. Remember, when we are doing strategic analysis, we are analyzing the current position of the firm. So the 6M also tells you what resources do we need, or what constraints are in existence. So resources needed would include finance, plant, machinery, human resources. So there is what are called 6M's for you to remember. 6M's. The number one is money. Do we have the money before we venture into this thing? Do we have the money? Okay? Or do we have funders on standby? Are funders likely to give us any money? Given the current situation, the funders we have are already exhausted. They're actually, lodging a lawsuit against us for late payments of the older credits. So are we likely to get money again? You understand? Or how geared are we? Our firm is already highly geared. So obviously, we are highly likely not to get any loans or debt finance. Those are the discussions on the money part. Then when it comes to machinery, you ask yourself, how current or how relevant is our machinery, is our manufacturing power? Sometimes the machinery might be outdated, might be old. So we might not compete. Then manpower. How skilled is our manpower? How competent are they? Can they help us to achieve a sustained competitive advantage given their qualifications, given the lack of training? All those things are discussed on the manpower. You are appraising yourself. You want to know what is exactly our standing point, our position. Then market. Is there a market for our products? How accessible is the market? After we produce them, can we sell them? How active is the market? Materials. Are we going to find raw materials for these things we want to produce? How powerful are our suppliers? Remember the Porter's 5 forces, powers of suppliers, the bargaining power of suppliers. So you use these models interchangeably. Sometimes you'll be told that, yes, suppliers are there, but those suppliers are high-end suppliers. They charge. When it comes to charging, they charge. The makeup. What do you think is the makeup?
Maybe what the product is made of. I don't.
As in branding or
Yes.
packaging.
Yes, packaging.
All right. When it comes to makeup here, we are simply talking of the company structure.
Okay.
We are looking at whether the makeup here is actually the strategic or the corporate decision is actually linked to the organizational structure or the governance structure. We are looking at whether all these are actually buying into the corporate belief system, the corporate structure. Is it blending into our corporate structure, corporate culture? Whether it syncs well with the aspect of a centralized structure. All right. So by the end of the day, let's say we want to open a new unit or a strategic business unit. By the end of the day, even if we've got the money, the machinery, all these things, but does it sync well? Does it blend in with our corporate strategy, our corporate belief system? This is why sometimes, certain companies end up not being opened. Why? Because it doesn't fit well with the makeup. You understand? It won't, it won't sync well. So much of this is actually found on the ACCA SBL website, where the 6 M's are discussed. I want you to recheck on those M's to see if we have explained them accurately, just for quality check. You understand? But I think what I've done so far is actually enough justice for you. But I want the feedback. When I say go and check something, please, I want you to check those things.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? So the makeup aspect here, I want you to tell me, say you made it wrong or say you made it right. Okay?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yes, but I'm still insisting makeup is about whether adopting this particular route is going to sync well with the group structure or the corporate structure. And when we are talking of structure, we are talking of whether we are centralized or decentralized, whether we are tall or flat, whether we are autocratic or a participatory, firm, something like that. All those things, or democratic. That's the makeup aspect. But I wanted to cross-check and say, no, it was about branding, it was about packaging and so forth, right? All right.
Okay.
Your strategic choice or selection. This one is one of the 3 elements of the strategic management model by Johnson, Scholes, and Whitington. It should be highlighted that alternative directions are available to a business whenever strategy is concerned. A business can do nothing. This is when, for example, they are operating in a steady, reliable environment and the market has no shocks. So if they're having a product that has been doing well over the years and the product has matured enough to reach the end of its life, managers are not forced to continue investing in improving that product. For example, we might be, a computer gadgets manufacturer, and certain desktops are proving to be not, requiring any modifications or any improvement, just because desktops by their nature are actually, on the lower end of consumer appetite. Consumers are showing less interest in buying desktops or desktop computers. In that case, managers may decide not to continue investing further in improving the production of desktops. Why? Because not much return is being obtained or gained on the production of desktops. Okay? That's the doing nothing strategy. Now, withdrawal. When it comes to withdrawals, here we are looking at a product, but this particular product has actually proven that we can no longer break even. We are always in the loss-making margin or loss-making trajectory. In that case, managers are allowed to adopt the withdrawal strategy to stop producing that loss-making non-strategic product. Sometimes the product might be loss-making, but it will be strategic because it will be bringing, or it is a complementary to certain high margin products. So in that case, we cannot dispose of it. Why? Because the moment we dispose of it, we are going to annoy those customers who are going to buy the complement, which is a high profit margin product. So in that case, withdrawal is not going to work. Market penetration. This is where companies try as much as possible to increase the market share for a certain product. This can be done through loyalty discounts, through improving the product to ensure that it continues to be in the attraction of paying customers. So market penetration is actually essential. Sometimes we reduce the price, we offer discounts and so forth to ensure that the market for the product grows. Then product development. Here we are still in the sub-market, but we want to make the product a bit more attractive to the customer. So we improve the product or introduce a new one in that order, or a better version of the old product. So in that case, we are simply producing a new product, but from an old version. So this is just a new version of the same product. So that's product development. We are still in the same market, but the product features have developed from the old ones. What about market development? In market development, the product is still the same. But what is now different is the market. So we might be having an urban market, for example, but we also want to attract the rural market. So when we sell the same product in a different market, we have developed the market, we have enlarged the market. All right? So let me re-emphasize this. In product development, the market is still the same, but what is changing is the product. All right? So we are introducing a new product or a product with newer version. So it is actually a new product, but the same market. All right? So same market. New product. But when it comes to market development, same product. New market. What about diversification? In diversification, we are changing the way we are producing, or we are changing what we have been producing. This time around, what we are producing is something different. But now, the market we are entering is different. But there is a related diversification and unrelated diversification. In related diversification, we are simply saying that even if we are now producing something different, in a way, it is there within the same industry or same market. For example, if you are looking at backward diversification, related backward diversification. Here, we are simply saying we want to affect the input side of our supply chain. We used to procure raw materials from a certain supplier, but right now we want to supply those materials our own. Let's say we are a cell phone manufacturer or assembling plant. We now want to supply the chips for our cell phones our own ourselves. So what we do is we open a manufacturing plant for cell phone chips. And in that case, we have done backward diversification. What about forward related diversification? In forward related diversification, what we want to do is to affect the output side. We used to supply our products to wholesalers, but right now we want to be the wholesalers ourselves. All right? We want to get that margin which wholesalers enjoy. We want to get it. For example, we are a tree plantation. We used to sell to long distance trucks who come to our plantation to buy timber. But now we want to enjoy that middleman margin. So we have to open a shop in the urban area where we can do the distribution of timber to end users ourselves. So that's forward related diversification. Lastly, horizontal diversification. Here, we want to compete with our own current self. For example, let us use a film production company. A film production company which makes movies might then decide to say, we now want to venture into reality shows. So these businesses, the current business that was dedicated to the movie production, is now going to compete with the reality television shows. So that one is horizontal diversification. The current setup is going to compete with the new setup. Then, unrelated diversification. Here we are venturing into a completely different production and market. If we were a film production company, then this time around we want to be a transporter. Those are two different things. Different products, different markets. So in that case, that's unrelated diversification. Now, once you know your position, you must decide on a path. First of all, you need to generate options. Looking at where to compete. How do you do that? You use the Ansoff Matrix. And when you want to look at how to compete, you can use Porter's generic strategies. Right? Generic strategies, those strategies on cost leadership, differentiation, or focus. All right? Now, let's talk of the Ansoff Matrix. The Ansoff Matrix is as shown on the screen. We have got the market, we have got the product. All right. So if we are to produce an existing product, okay, we are going to produce an existing product, all right, in an existing market, then the appropriate strategy is market penetration. We have talked of market penetration where the company might use all those tactics to ensure that customers continue to buy our products. For example, offering discounts, loyalty points, all those things. Those are to ensure that we continue to exploit the market to the fullest. But sometimes we are going to produce an existing product, but to a new market. If we continue to produce an existing product, but to a new market, what we are doing there is market development. Then let's move on to the new product, but to an existing market. So the product is new, but to an existing market. So in that case, that's product development. It's still the same market, it's an existing market, but what is new is the product itself. So in that case, we have developed the product because the product is new, but the market is just the same. So that's product development. What about we are producing a new product, but to a new market? That is called diversification. And in that case, you then have to say, this new product, is it related or unrelated? If it is related, then you need then to ask yourself, is it a backward related diversification, a forward diversification, or horizontal diversification? If it is unrelated and the market is new, then that's unrelated diversification. We have talked about that. Now, corporate parenting and portfolio. Factors to look at when comparing strategic business units' performance with one another. You need to look at the industry status, the growth, maturity, or decline. Is it a growing industry? Is it a mature one? Is it a decline? Then market share. Is it increasing, maintained, or declining? Profit margins, are they increasing, maintained, or declining? So you will be assessing. Sometimes you'll be given the scenario and there are a lot of figures there. You need to just have some skimming. You need, some browsing or some analysis of the information provided. Then the BCG matrix is also going to be useful for your assessment, where we get about 4 products, which are the star, the cash cow, dog, and question mark. Right? Also, you need to also look at the strengths, weaknesses, and primary reasons why we are acquiring that business. So here's the BCG matrix. So this is a game of matrices. All right, so the BCG matrix looks at the market growth and the relative market share. Okay, so if the growth of the market is low market growth, and the market share of the product is high, but the product itself, the market share is high. Okay, this product is enjoying a large market share, but the market is stagnant. Okay, the market is stagnant, is no longer growing. That product is a cash cow. Okay, it is giving money to the company. So what directors have to do is to ensure that they get as much money. They have to exploit much cash flows from that product. It is a successful product, but it is no longer making more extra money. So what is needed is to get whatever cash flow it is producing, and you use that cash flow to upgrade other products. Like I said earlier on, suppose you're a computer gadget manufacturer. A gadget like a desktop is no longer appealing to the general customer. So what you need to do is to upgrade into other digital products like laptops, tablets, and so forth, using your cash cows from desktop. The desktop cash cow. Right? You need to use that money to upgrade through other research and development and so forth to ensure that your innovations are going to yield a growing market. Right. Then there is a high growth and high market share. These products are called stars. They are promising. They are good at cash flows. Their market is also growing. So what you need to do is to ensure that you continue improving those products. Okay, you need to continue investing in them knowing that the moment you relax, they can easily become cash cows, and after being cash cows, they can be dropped out of the market. So you need to continue improving those products. For example, tablets, laptops, and so forth. You need to ensure that you continue investing much on them. All right. Then there is what is called a question mark. A question mark is a product whose market share is very low, but the market in general is high. Okay. When it comes to the growth of the market is growing for that product, but the relative market share. So, for example, you are a supplier of large language models these days. The suppliers for large language models are actually having a high market growth. There is a boom for artificial intelligence. So large language models are in high demand. Okay, but for this particular type of large language model, the market share, the relative market share for this particular product is actually very low. It is not competing. It is what is called a problem child, a question mark. It is a problem child. It requires a lot of investment. Okay, you need to hire specialists or IT people, okay, scientists to come and improve the model so that it can compete with its peers. So that type of product is a question mark. Question marks need not to be thrown away. Why? Because they've already exposed the company to high cash outflows. So you need to, to decide whether to continue investing in them or to throw them away. Don't simply just say, oh, because this is a problem, child, throw it away. Sometimes the moment you throw it away, some people might pick it and start to improve it. So you need to do some investigations to see if the amount of investment required to make it a star is manageable, is within our risk appetite, and so forth. Then there is this kid called dog. The market, the growth of the market is very low, and also the market share is low and the growth is low. These are dogs. They are just eating on your cash flows. They are not good at all. So those ones can be subjected to withdrawal, can withdraw them from the product line. Now, there is what is called SAF, the SAF framework. The SAF framework is essential when you are evaluating options. Remember, we have two on strategic choice. All right, so you need to use the SAF framework. Talks of stability, acceptability, and feasibility. All right, so you need to ask yourself, does it address the strategic position? If it addresses the strategic position, remember, when we talked of the definition of strategy, we talked of, addressing certain strategic situations the company is facing. A strategy should be able to ensure the company is able to adapt its resources in response to the situation it is facing, the business climate, and so forth. So, for us to say an option is suitable, it has to address our strategic position. And how do we know the strategic position? We use the PESTEL, the SWOT, and so forth. Those inform us of where we are standing as a company. All right? So, is it suitable to address the issues which were highlighted during the PESTEL analysis, during the 5 forces analysis, during the SWOT analysis? And if the answer is yes, then it is suitable. Then after determining that it is suitable, you need to question whether it is acceptable, the acceptability. Will stakeholders and their risk appetites support it? Sometimes it might be suitable, but it is outside the risk appetite. shareholders are not going to accept us or to accept it, maybe because of its impact on dilution of the earnings per share or its impact on other variables. So they might not be happy, or maybe the community itself might not see it as a good, business venture. So they will criticize us. They want us. Sometimes the pressure groups, the NGOs, those lobbying groups, the lobbying groups are going to be against our neck, up on our neck, criticizing us. So you need to ask that. Then feasibility. Here we are talking of the money power, the wallet power. Do we have the money, the people, the time? Sometimes we might have the money, but the people who can drive the project forward are not available. They are only found in China or in the United States. So, it won't be feasible. We'll then have to withdraw it or postpone its, implementation. Remember also the use of the 6 M's. We talked of the 6 M's earlier on. Right. Then strategy into action. Remember we are still on the JSW model. This one talks of strategic analysis, strategic choice, and strategic implementation. So we are on the implementation part. Putting action into implementation or getting into action. That's strategy into action or implementation. So the best strategy fails if it isn't executed. This requires structuring, organizing the company, for example, by geography or product to support the plan, enabling resources, ensuring finance and human resources are available. Right? You should also talk of change management, how a company should manage change. Overcoming staff resistance and leading the organization through the transition is something that has to be borne in mind. You need to be able to overcome staff resistance. Obviously, they are going to resist if the choice made is going to be on their disfavor. They are not going to feel right with the implementation of the change. They are going to resist it. So you need to be able to manage change. So use the Kate-Lewin model, 3-step model on change management. This model says that first of all, what you need to do is to unfreeze. You need to stop what they were doing. You need to stop their mentality, their views. How do you do that? You need to, to unfreeze them, unfreeze the way they used to look at a thing. All right. So for the change to take place, the existing equilibrium must be broken down before a new one can be adopted. To just say, hey guys, hold on, pause, please pause. Yes, we have been doing this, but now, please, that is wrong. Let us now have a change of paradigm. Then you introduce your new thing. But the question that comes is, how do you freeze? How do you unfreeze people's mind? In Kate-Lewin's mind, the aspect of unfreezing was driven from the view that people have frozen their mind or have put their mind, their mentality on some autopilot mode. They've already programmed the way they are doing things around here or at a certain company, that mindset is a bit rigid or is frozen. They've frozen their way of thinking to a certain perspective. So, if you are a change agent, what you need to do is to unfreeze that. Because if we are saying they have got this particular way of doing things, we then have, we are simply saying they are reached on a certain perception. So what we need to do as a change agent is to ensure that you have broken down the chains, you have broken down the rigidity. The moment you have broken, you break it down, you then have to ensure that you instill the new change you want. And the only way you can do that is through participation. Okay, you can use participation where you will be involved, you participate with them so that they buy in easily, or you can educate them or negotiate. But sometimes change is enforced. You use directive and leadership. Okay, sometimes it is forced change, but according to Lewin, you need to use as much as possible those preparatory management styles, education, negotiation, and so forth. Then you refreeze after you have discovered that the people have absorbed what you want. You then have to refreeze them. Okay, because by refreezing, we are simply saying this is the best way to go, guys. Do not forget. So this is the final stage, implying consolidation or reinforcement of the new behavior, either through a company policy, a new updated company policy. Okay, so in managing change, do not forget the aspect of the change kaleidoscope by Hope Haley, and Balogan. Okay, Hope Haley and Balogan. Also give reference to the cultural web, because the cultural web tells you about the organizational culture at the moment. Okay, the cultural web tells you of the organizational culture at a particular firm. So the change kaleidoscope, as shown on the screen, gives us two rings. There are two rings. This is the first one. This first one talks of the organizational context, the organizational change context. Okay. So this is the first ring. This one. This is the first ring I'm talking about. That's the first ring. Then this one is the second ring. All right. Now let's discuss these things in the quickest possible time. So let's start with the contextual features. Let's start with the scope. So we are looking at the scope of the change. To what extent do you want the change to be effected? Are we saying that all the departments have to have this particular change, or only the finance department? So the scope of the change has to be established. Okay, preservations. Do we have areas or certain practices we want to retain? Because if we change everything overnight, there could be some problems with our stakeholders. So we need to identify certain areas which should not be affected by the change. Diversity. We need to embrace certain views as we implement the change. Right? So the diversity of opinion should also be respected. Capability. Are we capable? Are we capable of initiating the change or of executing the change? Do you have the people with the relevant skills? Are we capable to carry out the change which we want? Right? Do we have the capacity to carry out the change? Yes, we are capable of doing it, but do we have the capacity? Do you have the resources? Are we really ready for the change? Do we have the necessary authority to execute the change, the power? Then, according to the timelines, is it possible to achieve this change within a certain time period? That's the organizational context. What about the design choices? The second ring, design choices. We need to establish the design choices. All right. First of all, we need to talk of the change path. Which path shall we follow? Okay, just let me just um look at this note. Okay, remember, when you're talking of designing and implementing choices, we are talking of the strategic decisions on how change will be carried out. So the change path or the type of change, are we going to be evolutionary, that is gradual, incremental, adaptive? We are talking of adaptation, incremental change in response to external pressure. Revolutionary, this is a rapid and radical transformation. Reconstructive, this is rapid but limited scope change. All right, then change start point, where change can begin. Are we going to have this change top down, that is initiated by senior management, or bottom up, initiated by employees or lower levels? Pockets of good practice, that is expanding successful practices from one unit to another. Pilot sites, that is testing change in one area before a wider rollout exercise. Then the change style, how change is managed. We can do this by education and delegation, that is briefings and discussions to build support. Collaboration, that is high employee involvement in decisions. Participation, limited involvement in how change is delivered. Direction, leader driven with control and guidance. Cohesion, imposing change through authority. Like I said, sometimes these things are forced down our throat. We should also look at that as part of the style, a change style. Sometimes you need to force it down them. Change target. Are we looking at the outputs, the performance results, or we are looking at behaviors, employee actions and practices? What exactly do you want to change? What exactly do you want to be subjected to change? Is it the outputs, the performance results, or the production results, or the behaviors in our employees, the employee actions and practices, or the values which are cherished by the organization, the organizational beliefs and culture? Which one do you want to change? Then change levers, the interventions. For the interventions, the best model to inform us is the cultural web, because it identifies the barriers and guide intervention. It identifies the barriers and guides interventions. So the cultural web talks of the symbols, the power structures, the organizational structures, control systems, routines and rituals, stories. So all those, for example, there is a story which the company always talks about, but given that story, is it now possible to intervene? But without knowing that story, it is normally impossible to intervene. So we need to put all those things into perspective before we decide which intervention shall we use. So the uses of the change kaleidoscope, this this instrument helps us to analyze contextual enablers and constraints before implementing change. It assists in selecting appropriate change path, start point, where to start, style, target, and interventions. It encourages organizational awareness of change capability, explains why certain design choices fit or do not fit a specific context, used mainly by change agents in 3 steps, that is, in assessing contextual factors, in determining change path, in selecting implementation choices most suitable for planned change aimed at achieving specific objectives. Okay, screen is freezing. Should be used alongside other tools like the cultural web, requires strong analytical, judgmental, and implementation skills. Challenges arise due to complexity, resource demands, and overlapping change initiatives. So those are the merits and demerits of the this kaleidoscope, the change kaleidoscope. All right, the strategic drift, we've talked about this one, where the drift occurs when an organization strategy gradually moves out of alignment with its environment. Remember that change, that gap between the environment and the strategy. It usually happens in 4 phases. There is the incremental stage where the company makes small logical adjustments. Then strategic drift, the market changes faster than the company, creating that gap. Then the flux, performance drops, management tries various uncoordinated fixes leading to confusion. Then transformational change or death, either a total overhaul occurs, usually during a crisis, or the business fails altogether. So the key takeaway there is that to avoid drift, leaders must foster a culture that embraces change and regularly scan the environment for weak signals of future disruption. It's all about the strategic drift. Now let's move on to the aspect of competitive advantage, the Michael Porter theories. Okay, we've touched about some of them, the Porter's 5 forces. We have discussed about these. Okay, the power of customer, factors to decide high or low. You need to, when you are analyzing the power of customers, tell yourself, is it high power or low power? All right, but you can be able to assess that when you look at the size of the customer. If they are a large customer, obviously that customer has got more power, okay, because we might be largely depending on them. So if we annoy them, they might go somewhere else and we might fail business. Any brand or uniqueness in our products, all right, customer willing to pay any premium, are customers willing to pay? So you need to look for words like customer. Sometimes the examiner use consumers or buyers and so forth. They simply mean the same thing. Power of supplier, factors to decide high or low. Is the supplier a huge institution or a smaller one? Because that one will help you determine their power. So the size of the supplier, large global supplier, etc. Are they willing to pay any premium? I mean, are we willing to pay any premium? Okay. Also look for words like supplier, vendor, manufacturer, etc. They might be used by the examiner to signify a supplier, to indicate that they are a supplier. Then threats of new entrants, look for barriers to entry, like for example, patents, government approvals, government license, franchises. If barrier is high, then treat it, the threat is low. All right, because if the barriers are high, when you're saying barriers are high, we are simply saying that the threats to enter that are so low. Why? Because it's not easy to get inside. So it is actually an opposite relationship. Then threat of competition, okay, or competitive rivalry, okay, competitive rivalry. Here we are talking of the competition the number of competitors, the market share, patents or franchises available. All those have to be discussed about. Then let's look for substitute. Okay, here we are talking of the threat of substitute products. Okay, are there any substitutes? If there are substitutes, then it means that our customers have got more power and so forth, all those things. And it also means that the industry is not attractive for us to enter, isn't it? So that's for Porter's 5 forces. Porter's 5 forces. Then now the generic strategies, we've got cost leadership, becoming the lowest cost producer to either lower prices or enjoy higher margins. Sometimes we might keep the selling price at its level, but we continue to reduce the cost of production. In that way, we'll be increasing the margin, the profit margin. Or we want to remain competitive by reducing the price. So as we reduce the price, we also have to reduce the cost here so that our margins are not severely affected. That's cost leadership. Then when you're talking of differentiation, that's offering unique features that customers value enough to pay a premium. Some customers are prepared to pay a premium as long as the product is of high quality. Then our focus strategy here, we are targeting a narrow market segment using either cost leadership or differentiation within a niche. Okay, that's focus strategy. You might be focused differentiator or focused cost leader, depending on what you want. All right. Then the value chain analysis here, we are having a tool used to identify which specific activities, primary or support, which create value and where costs can be reduced to support these generic strategies. So the value chain is actually useful to complement the strategy. Whether you are a cost leader or a differentiator, you need to understand the value chain analysis so that your objective will be met. So the support activities are these ones. These are the support or secondary activities. And these other ones here, these guys there, are the primary activities, right? Inbound logistics, operations, outbound logistics, marketing and sales, and service or after sales service, right? After sales service, guys, we are simply talking of those activities we do after making a sale. Let's say you have supplied a DSTV kit to a supplier, right? Do you then come after fixing it? Do you then come and check, or are you required to come and check if they're still enjoying the service? What type of support do you offer, etc.? Remember that? Great. Okay, so those are the things, guys, which we need to embrace. So by the end of the day, all these, the support activities, these support activities and primary activities should complement one another to ensure that by the end of the day, we are left with this kid here, the margin. We must be profitable by the end of the day. So everything, there should be some integrated process, coordination, that everything, the HR, the finance, the production people, the distributor, the distributing agents, all those guys, the operation, they have to ensure that everything should ensure we are at a profit by the end of the day. There should be some significant margin to ensure that the company remains afloat. Okay, value chain versus value network. While every business has an internal value chain, it also sits within a broader supply chain. Value chain, that's the internal activities of a single firm. But value network or value system, this is the sum of all value chains in a supply chain, from raw material producers to the final retailer. So we are looking at the full supply chain, from the raw materials to the end user to that retailer of our product. The core concept, the price is an end. The price and end consumer pays is for the value created by the entire network, not just the final seller. So we are actually looking at the full or the entire network. So a value network is a web of relationships that generates both tangible and intangible value through dynamic exchanges between individuals, groups, or organizations. It allows small companies to leverage a massive scale by connecting with numerous partners. Key elements in the value network. A network is more than just a linear chain. It includes suppliers, which provide the raw materials and components, intermediaries. These are entities providing outsourcing services, for example, logistics, bookkeeping, or support services. Then complementers. These ones are entities providing products that enhance your own. For a games console manufacturer, the independent studios that write the games are complementers. Then customers and end consumers, these are the entities that buy the product and the final users. So what is the strategic significance of all this? To achieve a competitive advantage, an entity must look beyond its own internal efficiency, must go beyond the value chain and look for other things. We must look for value creation or loss. Value can be added or lost at any point in the network. Collaboration. Success often depends on working with others. It is no longer enough to just communicate or exchange information. Entities must collaborate to find strategic solutions. Network efficiency. The entire value network must operate with the efficiency of a single self-contained entity. This requires active relationship management. So here's the practical example of a mobile telephone company. A smartphone provides value, that is music, voice, data, that no single firm can provide alone. It requires a collaborative network of handset manufacturers, that is the hardware, mobile network operators for connectivity, content providers, the apps or media companies, and component suppliers, which are the processors, the screens, and so forth. So you can see that these are different companies, but you need to have to be within the network for you to participate in this type of businesses, right? Because it is very, very difficult to produce everything at one plant. All right. So a cell phone, a mobile telephone company, all right, or a smartphone producer needs to have the hardwares produced by other companies, all right, for the handsets. It also needs a mobile network operator to be there for it to be able to enjoy, you see, to make any reasonable profit. It needs those other companies to be there within its network or within its value network. All right. So when you're looking at a smartphone like this one, this is a smartphone, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so this phone has been made by several companies. All right, several companies are involved here. We have got the network companies, which are providing me with the voice call network or the internet network, the hardware, etc., all those things. So this company, the ITEL, when then it sells this thing, it doesn't mean that they have manufactured everything themselves. Maybe the chips and processors were manufactured elsewhere. The applications inside this phone were manufactured by others and so forth. So collaboration is the way to go. Network efficiency, the value network is something that has to be considered. Now, strategic growth and partnerships. Organizations typically grow through two traditional paths: organic, that is internally generated funds like retained earnings, okay, that is through reinvestments of the profits, or inorganic, that is external growth via mergers and acquisitions. However, modern strategy emphasizes collaborative alternatives. These include strategic alliances, joint ventures. When you're talking about strategic alliances, these are legally binding agreements between independent firms to cooperate for a specific period. Okay, for example, the context matter. Matters. In long life cycles, alliances protect stability. In short life cycles, they accelerate research and innovation and share high development costs. So you need to, when you are required to enter into a strategic alliance, be informed that that alliance is is a legally binding arrangement with enforceable rights and obligations. All right, so two firms might enter into an alliance to just say, we want to do this. Can we assist one another? For example, an airline, airlines can come up together. For example, the One World Alliance, where different airlines came up together and ensure that their customers were being served by either of the airline, so that an airline might be having certain areas where it doesn't have any routes, but its customers want to go there. So they have to enter into a strategic alliance with another airline that operates in those routes to ensure that its customers aren't going to be annoyed. Do you understand me? Good. But there's a risk there. There could be some misalignment of partner capabilities or lack of full commitment. Other partners in a strategic alliance might be, fraudulent, might not be committed to the alliance, and by the end of the day, it is you, the owner of the customer, that's going to suffer. Then, joint ventures. Unlike alliances, a joint venture involves creating a new separate legal entity owned by the partners. So the companies might come together and say, okay, fine, let us put capital and have this particular company operate. So it will be a separate company now, going by its separate name. And these guys will be the owners, right? So it could be project-based. This one ends once a specific goal is met. Remember the AstraZeneca during the COVID-19 vaccination or periods, okay? The functional based arrangement or venture where partners share specific expertise. For example, the H&M and the Remontis for recycling, those companies where they just want to do a certain thing based on their capabilities or expertise. Okay, for recycling purposes, they might create a venture to do recycling activities alone. Then vertical ventures, these ones, the buyer-supplier collaboration to optimize the supply chain. For example, Honda and LG Energy for batteries. These companies come together to say, okay, fine, can we create batteries and so forth. That was a vertical because it was to optimize the supply chain. What about horizontal ventures? These ones, okay, when competitors in the same industry pool resources, for example, Polaris and Zero Motorcycles for the electric vehicle technology. All right, so they are competitors in the same industry, but they pull resources together to further a certain technological advancement. For example, the electric vehicle technology. Then franchising and licensing. Ladies and gentlemen, these ones come and are likely to come in your examination. So please do not take them for granted. Franchising. This one is about a franchisor allowing a franchisee to use its brand and business model. It offers low-cost growth for the franchisor and brand recognition for the franchisee. For example, the McDonald's brand, okay, or franchises. So if you are a fast food retailer, and you want to supply or to get the global stage, you might become a franchisee to the McDonald's brand. Okay, that will enable you to get access to global McDonald's customers as quickly as possible. All right, but at the same time, to the franchisor or the franchise owner, they are going to enjoy low cost growth. Okay, the phone call. So licensing now. Here we are having a narrower scope than the franchising. The licensee pays a royalty to manufacture or sell a product or technology. There is typically no ongoing training or support. For example, Coca-Cola's local bottling agreements. All right, so those are companies within the Coca-Cola bottling agreements simply have to pay the license, okay, from the license owner, maybe the Coca-Cola head office. All right, so those guys simply have to pay a license fee for them to operate. But the main significance here is that no ongoing training or support would be provided by Coca-Cola. Obviously, these guys won't be creating a new version of Coca-Cola, of course, but there will be arrangements for bottling, maybe to bottle mixtures which have already been prepared by Coca-Cola itself. Okay, suppose you've got your own bottling equipment that meets Coca-Cola standards, right? And you want to bottle those mixtures already prepared by Coca-Cola, then all you need to do is to ensure that you get the license to do so. And the rest is history. All right. The rest of the issues here are market and customer segmentation. Segmentation is the foundation of a tailored marketing mix, moving away from one size fits all to improve efficiency and return on investment. So there are different types of segmentation. We've got demographic segmentation, where we are segmenting the market by age, gender, occupation, ethnicity, which is easiest to collect. Okay, we can segment as well by geography. Yes, there is what is called geographic segmentation. This is segmenting by region, country, climate, urban versus rural. Right? So we can decide to segment our markets by urbanization or by rural setup. All right. So we might say we have got the rural customers or an urban market, or we can segment by climate, where in some areas some markets are designated by climate. For example, those in the cold regions, those in the hot regions, and so forth. And then by country, to say each unit or each market is by country. For example, some, South Africa, Zimbabwe, Canada, the UK, or by region. All those things are the segmentations. Then we may segment our market by behavior, that is behavioral segmentation. For example, usage frequency, brand loyalty, price sensitivity, or online habits. These inform our segmentation. Or by psychographics, where we look at the social status, personality traits, values, and lifestyle of the potential customers. All these inform our decisions to segment a market. Now, why do we segment markets? This is because we want to offer targeted communication, highlighting features most relevant to specific groups. For example, marketing a car for speed to one group and safety to another. Sometimes a young customer base, or a youthful customer base would prefer, marketing related to speed, but the elderly would put safety first. Then customer retention is also a benefit of this segmented marketing idea, where identifying high value or at risk customers to apply specific retention strategies. Marketing efficiency. This is reducing waste by ignoring segments unlikely to purchase. So if we really know the customers that matter, we are going to do marketing efficiency. Thereby, we are not going to concentrate on that market. We are not going to get anything significant. Then competitive advantage. Deep knowledge of a niche segment allows a firm to serve it better than broad market competitors. So if we know there is a certain segment we are doing well, we should at least concentrate much of our energy on that segment rather than on the total market, because some portions of the market are not going to give us any benefit. So this is the key summary table on strategic growth comparison. So if we are using organic method or organic growth method, we are not going to create any legal entity because we are using our own funds. All right, we are using our own funds to reinvest and grow. So there's no legal entity created. Is this a permanent growth strategy? Yes. And we are having high control over this strategy. Why? Because retained earnings are our money. So we have got more control over it. Then in a mergers and acquisition strategy, there are combined legal entities, which have been combined. So they are legal entities, but these entities have combined into one. So there is a combination. And then this is a permanent, yes, it's a permanent idea. It's a permanent setup, and the control level is again high because once we have acquired the company, we have taken control over it. Then if we are to have a strategic alliance, usually there is no entity that has been created. We are only we still maintain our own identities, but we have agreed to share some resources for the benefit of both parties. So there is no legal entity created, and this is a temporal arrangement. It's not going to run forever. Okay. Then the control level is shared. We are sharing responsibilities, sharing control. Similarly, in a joint venture now, the control level is shared. However, there is a company that has been created. There's a new company created for the purpose of the joint venture. So there is a legal entity created, and permanency of the arrangement. This one could be variable. Sometimes it could be permanent. Sometimes it might be temporal. Then a franchise setup. In a franchise setup, no company is created. Okay, we are not creating any company. All right, we're just using a franchise, a brand of other people. This could be contractual. It could be for a certain period of time. The control level is moderate, determined by the contract itself. Now, let's talk of the 7 P's. That is the extended marketing mix. This one is also important for strategy purposes. While the traditional 4 P's, that is product, price, place, promotion, focus on manufacturing, the extended 7 P's are essential for modern service-based and customer-centric strategies. In terms of the Johnson, Scholes, and Whitington strategy management model, the 7 P's largely entail implementing the strategic choice through tactical marketing and operations. So if we are looking at the product, these are the goods or services offered to the customer, the actual goods and services offered. The strategic focus here, does it solve the customer's problem? That's our worry as strategist. Is this product going to solve the customer's problem? This includes the quality of the product, the features, the packaging, functionality, branding. In segmentation, the product may be bundled differently for different groups. Then when we talk of price, this is the amount a customer pays. The strategic focus here is that pricing must reflect the perceived value of the segment. All right. There is what is called price skimming. Here we are going to charge a high price for premium segments. There are segments which are on the high end, and we are going to charge a higher price. Then price penetration here, low price to capture market share, right? Remember the market penetration idea. Then, so when you discuss price, have this theory at the back of your mind. Then, place. This is the channel through which the product is distributed. Are we going to use the physical shops or we are going to sell it online? The strategic focus here is ensuring the product is available where the target segment shops, high-end boutiques versus mass market e-commerce. Which one is the best? Then promotion. This is the communication used to inform and persuade. The strategic focus will be choosing the right media. Social media versus for Gen Zs versus traditional TV for retirees to deliver a message that resonates well with a specific segment's values. Then people, which is an extended P. One of the extended P's are people. This is all human actors involved in service delivery. Our focus here is in services, the staff is the brand. We need to have top-notch staff to maintain the brand. Training and culture are vital for maintaining customer relationships and retention. Then another P here, process. This is the procedures, mechanisms, and flow of activities by which the service is delivered. The strategic focus here is a seamless process, like one-click ordering, creates a competitive advantage and improves the customer experience. Customers do not want the laborious processes to acquire goods they want to enjoy. Lastly, physical evidence. This is the environment in which the service is delivered and any tangible components. The strategic focus here is since services are intangible, customers look for clues of quality, for example, clean office, a professional website, or high quality paper for contract. So the physical evidence are those things which at face value can convince a customer that this one is genuine. All right. like for example, a clean office or a well-kept shop whose walls are painted and the shelves are clean. All of this gives confidence that the products themselves, the products which are sold there, are of high quality. Now, let's look at the 7 P's in relation to the strategy. In the context of SBL, you should normally link these to market segmentations. Segmentation, where we look at efficiency. By knowing your segment, you don't waste money on the wrong promotion or place. So you can marry the idea of promotion from the 7 P's when it comes to market segmentation, where we are saying if you really know your market, if you really know the segment you are going to deal in, you know what type of promotion is essential there and the place where you need to put or to sell your things. Are you going to sell them online or you are going to have a traditional shop? Then when you look at competitiveness, you need to tailor the people and the process to a specific segment. For example, a dedicated relationship manager for high-end net worth bank clients. This creates a barrier to entry for competitors. You will always be standing out. You won't be intimidated easily. Imitated easily. Then the aspects of the Johnson, Scholes, and Whitington model, where we are saying at strategic position, you can easily identify why we are here. So before choosing a growth method or a marketing mix, an organization must understand its current environment. Market segmentation as a strategic analysis tool. Under the JSW model, segmentation is a tool to understand the environment and stakeholders. By analyzing segments, a firm identifies where it has the most strategic fit. We have already pointed out this. Now, in the context of 7 P's, you can be able to do the capability audit. Remember, capability analysis is also part of the strategic position analysis. So you can use the 7 P's to analyze your strategic capability or position, where we look at resources and competencies. For example, do we have the people skills? Do you have the right people or the skills or the process, that is the efficiency? Do you have the required efficiency to carry out this particular cell, right? So to compete in the new segment. So our processes, our sales process or our marketing processes as efficient as required? Then, when we look at the strategic choice, the what and how, here we see the core link of the whole idea. Once the position is understood, the organization must make choices regarding the direction and the method to be taken. So, when you now want to analyze or to determine the direction, you should use the Ansoff Matrix. Here, the 7 P's dictate the direction. When you can be informed of market penetration, whereby when you use the 7 P's, for example, more aggressive promotion or competitive pricing, you can safely determine when to use aggressive promotion or competitive pricing to sell existing products to the same segments. Competitive pricing normally is pricing that is favorable in the eyes of the customer or that puts you first ahead of your competitors. All right. So like reduced prices or favorable prices. All right. So that enables you to penetrate the market. Remember, market penetration is about charging affordable prices that encourage the sale of your product based on the price. You can also be able to determine market development. Here you will be identifying new geographic or demographic segments to sell existing products. Right? Now, when it comes to the method or the growth strategies, we have, remember we talked about Porter's generic strategies and so forth. But now, you can link growing in partnership, which we discussed earlier on about collaboration and so forth, by using this, the Johnson, Scholes, and Whitington model in categorizing the how into three different methods. The internal development or the organic growth, where you build your own processes and hiring people. So, in a way, we can factor in the idea of the 7 Ps in ensuring that internally we develop as a resilient organization, whereby we need to upgrade our processes by hiring good people, by by acquiring good machinery or up-to-date machinery or recent machinery that complement recent technological advancements. So that is internal growth or organic development. Now, you can as well do the mergers and acquisition. Here, you can get instant access to new product or places where you can sell them. For example, if you acquire a company that is already known in the market, you can easily get into the market through the acquisition. So this is just a recap of what we have already done or said. Then strategic alliances versus joint ventures. Here you can then determine which collaborative method can allow the firm to gain capabilities without full ownership. Either you go through the strategic alliance route, where you and another company can team up to collaborate without changing your identities. But in the joint venture, you then have to create a separate company that is going to operate with an identity different from yours, but you will be sharing the ownership, you'll be controlling it in a shared arrangement. Now, strategy in action, the implementation. Here now, on this part, the 7 Ps become the operational reality of the strategy. Remember, we talked of feasibility. Is the partnership, joint venture, or alliance feasible? Does it provide the necessary physical evidence or distribution, the place that we lack? So when you talk, or when you're looking at the feasibility of the arrangement, you then have to ask yourself, if we enter into this, are we going to get the physical evidence? Remember, when we talked of physical evidence in the 7 Ps, we are talking of those things which the customer look and is tempted, to say or to believe in the products we sell. For example, a good website or a clean office environment. This gives confidence. They give physical confidence that the things we are going to sell are genuine, are of high quality. Then when we look at distribution, the players, this is the platforms we are going to sell. Are we going to use the traditional shop, or the e-commerce platforms? Okay. Accessibility. Will stakeholders accept a franchise model while it offers low-cost growth, financial acceptability? Does it risk the brand, product, or promotion quality? Some franchise arrangement might impact negatively on us because the franchise itself might be having some bad publicity. So we need to look at the acceptability of the idea. Then lastly, suitability. Does market segmentation ensure we are targeting the suitable customers that align with our strategic goals? So basically, these are the things, ladies and gentlemen, we are required to know when it comes to strategy. I want you guys to tell me if the lesson has done justice or so many things have been left uncovered. If there are those items, please list them in the comment section to this video so that I look at them and improve on those aspects and share another video which explains them. Until we meet again, may you continue to be blessed.